places. There were like 26 baby cows found in Freetown State Forest that were drained of their blood in like around these occult markings and like whatever. There was multiple serial killings and bodies dumped there. There were suicides. There were, I mean, it was like, dude, if you can find a place that's has more like violent, negative, terrible, dark energy, like I don't know it, but because this place is just bad. And so, and the occult activity supposedly still goes on there. So anyway, we go, well, leading up to this, like 2 weeks prior, it was like the universe was trying to tell us, don't go. Every possible thing that could go wrong did. And I mean everything. I lost my debit card. I had to shut my accounts down. I had no access to my money. Like it was just this big, it was a mess, man. I got sick, like all this stuff. And then it came time, me and Mike I hadn't been out on a good investigation in a long time. Mike was itching to go. We were like, let's just go. Like, let's just do it. And we go, we get there. The hotel that we booked ends up being this like probably the seediest place that I've ever seen in my life. And it wasn't anyone's fault because online it did not look like that. It looked like a very decent place. When you got there, it was like there were drugs being sold in the parking lot. There were prostitutes. Even the guy who worked there talked about trafficking. Like we were like,
my.
So we get there, and all this is like, again, the universe is still trying to tell us, don't, you shouldn't be here. But we're going to book another hotel. We'll go, find a better one. We find a nice one. We booked a hotel. We go out and we go to Freetown that night, and it was hot. It was humid. It was very misty and foggy. It was like the perfect atmosphere. We're walking, and it's like a 2-mile walk or 2.5-mile walk from where you start the path to where the a sonnet ledge is, which is the ledge at the quarry that is supposed to be haunted, and like a lot of activity goes on there. And that was where we were going to start at. So it was like a 2-mile hike. So we're walking and we're laughing and we're talking and we're joking and everything's fine. And all of a sudden, like everything for me changed. It was, and it wasn't like when people say like, oh, you just got freaked out. Like, no, it wasn't that. I physically felt the change, excuse me, in the energy, like around us. Like I could just feel it. Everything was just getting weird. It was almost as if like it got darker somehow, if that makes any sense. Like, and that sounds weird, but I had a
I guess it's
spot.
possible. Anything's possible.
I had a spotlight that this thing is so bright, and it was on. It was fully charged, but somehow, like we couldn't see further than like a couple feet in front of us. All of a sudden, it was like the darkness just like just really weird. It's hard to describe. The hair on my whole body was standing on end for like I don't even know how long, 40 minutes. Like just this weird charged feeling. I started feeling like I was seeing things moving in the bushes in the woods. At one point, I thought I saw something dart across the path in front of me. Now I'm getting freaked out. I started feeling sick, like physically sick, like I was going to vomit. And then I had this feeling like I had a hand around my throat at one point. Like it was like tightness like around my throat, but it wasn't like just tightness. It was like it felt like a hand was there. It was so weird. It's so hard to describe. People think you're nuts. Then I got incredibly angry. I mean, like rage out of nowhere. And that's not like me. I'm a very mellow guy. It takes a lot to get me angry, and I don't get angry at little things, right? And so for me to be like rageful was very strange. Then I went from like pure rage to crying, like literally crying, for no reason. I was dry heaving, and then like I knew something was wrong, and I said to Mike, "We need to go." I just felt it, like we need to go. I felt like I was being spiritually attacked. That's what it felt like. And so we left. And we get in the Jeep, and I passed out cold. Like completely just I was out. Now, could have been from it being hot and humid. Maybe it was that. I think it was probably a combination of that and whatever the hell else was going on. But me and Mike ended up getting into a and I don't want to spill personal stuff, but like we got into a big argument, which I regret terribly still to this day, because Mike was one of my closest friends, and there was no need for the argument, but it was like this, whatever this was just hanging there, like it was affecting me in some way, and I just didn't feel myself. I didn't feel right. I felt way off. And then we left and we came home. We stayed the next day still, and we tried to go out to another site, and just, I don't know, nothing, everything was just not working out. And we came home, and when I got home, at first I didn't notice anything. And then it was like a day or two later, I started hearing weird noises in the basement, tapping, stuff that I never heard before. Never. It's dead silent in the basement. Never a noise. Like maybe the furnace, but that's, you know what that is. This was like tapping, like nails on like aluminum. The scratching noise. I'm like, what the hell? Are there mice now or something? Then all of a sudden, like this giant clock in the living room that's like 10 pounds, it's metal, it's 32 inches around, somehow climbed off of its hook and fell onto the floor.
Wow.
Nobody was up there at the time. Then there's a baby seat on the other side of this wall in the basement. It's on a shelf, and the shelf is 5 feet long, about 3 feet from front to back, and it was pressed all the way up against the back, and it was leaned against the wall. Somehow, that baby seat walked itself from the back of that shelf off the front. I don't know how.
Wow.
I have no explanation for this. Then
You don't happen to have security cameras in your house, do you?
no, not in the basement. No.
Okay.
Then a bunch of these hangers with clothes on them, heavy jackets, big sweatshirt. I'm a big guy. I weighed like 280 pounds. I was like 6'3", so my sweatshirts are heavy. A bunch of these hangers with my big heavy sweatshirts were knocked off of this pole and onto the ground. Probably about 10 of them. Again, I have no explanation for any of this. I started having the worst luck in the world. Like, again, all these things that could possibly go wrong, that could like ruin your life for a time, definitely did. I got really sick. It was just all this crazy stuff, and finally I came to this point where I was like, man, I really should maybe like start looking into the fact that maybe I brought something back with me. And we talked about it briefly. You gave me some great great coaching on what to do. I reached out to a couple people, a couple other people, to try to help with that, like doing blessings and praying and all that stuff. And it took a while, man. But finally things started to kind of go back to normal
That's
slowly.
awesome.
And it's finally at the point now where I feel like, whatever it was, I don't think it's here now.